Prospective hindsight is the act of putting yourself into the future and then reflecting on events in the past, events that in reality haven't happened yet. For example, if I'm going to launch a lemonade stand business, I could ask myself, what are all the ways this business is going to fail? Or I could imagine that it's 6 months from now and that the business has already failed. And I could ask myself, what happened? Putting yourself into the future like this and reflecting back on events that have quote unquote already happened is a way to get your brain to process this speculative activity differently. There's evidence that doing this is a better, more successful way of trying to anticipate problems. So I was hoping that I could get OpenAI's GPT models to help with a prospective hindsight activity. The first thing I did was experiment using the web interface for chatGPT because that user experience is so nice and easy and because that's the latest model. First thing I tried was a straightforward, easy question. I'm starting a lemonade stand. What are the ways it might fail? And you can see I get back quite a good list. However, for prospective hindsight, you need a little story for each one of those reasons, and the story should be written in past tense and it should get into some detail, so I can't use this as is. So the next thing I tried was just asking, use prospective hindsight. I didn't think it would work, and it didn't. One of the reasons that was given for the lemonade stand failing is the possibility of it being in a poor location. So I thought, okay, how can I get at that storytelling aspect of prospective hindsight? So I asked a different question, tell me a story about how a lemonade stand failed because of poor location. And already you can see it's getting better. It's written in past tense now, and it's getting into some detail about how exactly this failure happened, but it's too long. So I asked the question again, but this time saying, in 100 words or less, tell me that same story. And you can see the story about the poor location's pretty good, and you can see the story for the not enough customers reason, that's pretty good. Now, from a programming perspective, when I get this list back of reasons why the lemonade stand might fail, I know that I'm going to have to go through that list and do something with each answer. And I would love it if the response I got was in some kind of structured format. So I tried asking the chatbot, can you give me the answer in JSON format? And actually, this looks pretty good. If I could rely on this, if I knew this was going to be the result every time, I could totally handle this programmatically. Speaking of programming, let's stop looking at the ChatGPT web interface and start looking at trying to use the API. Here's some really simple Python code sending a post request to the completions endpoint with the simple prompt, list 3 ways a lemonade stand might fail. So this looks pretty good. You can see that if this was displayed on the screen, it's got a hardline return, and then the number 1, and then the first answer, and then a hardline return, and a hardline return, and then number 2. So if you were to just print this, it would look pretty nice. However, for my use case, this is too many words. I need each reason to be given really succinctly. So I'm going to alter my prompt to say, be concise. This looks much better. I can use this programmatically. Each answer is very short. Now, we talked a minute ago about how convenient it would be if I could get back results that was in a stringified JSON format. So I'm going to go back into my prompt, and I'm going to say, return results in JSON format. And the first result that I get back here looks like valid JSON, so I could programmatically parse this as JSON. Not bad. However, I notice this isn't totally reliable. If I run the same thing right away again, now you see this JSON is actually not valid. The number 1 and the number 2 aren't surrounded by quotes, so I'm going to have a hard time processing this programmatically, and the fact that it's not consistent means that's going to be problematic. So it seems like from the ChatGPT interface, maybe future models will be more consistent with this. But right now, because it's inconsistent, I'm hesitating to try to write any kind of application that would rely on expecting this to be in JSON format. So the whole JSON thing, I'm just going to throw away for now. And in my own code, I'm just going to use regular expressions and string handling to get those answers back. I'm okay with that. Here's everything all together in one program. First, we prompt the model to give us a list of 10 reasons why our lemonade stand might fail. Then we take that answer and put it into an array of reasons, a list of reasons. Then we have a for loop, and we go through each reason in the list, and we prompt the model to give us this little story of why the lemonade stand failed for that reason. And then we make a title and a sticky note for each reason and its story and put them into our mural. Speaking of mural, here's the mural I want to use for our prospective hindsight exercise. Before I do this exercise with my team, I want to use the OpenAI GPT model to seed the mural with some ideas to stimulate discussion and spark creativity, inspire new ideas. So let's have a look at what the model put in there for us. One reason our lemonade stand might fail is because of poor signage. And you can see the little story below. The lemonade stand had minimal signage and it was not very visible from the street. People did not know we were there. This is great. It's perfect. Okay, let's look at the next one. Unattractive display. Our lemonade stand failed due to an unattractive display. The stand was put together from leftover cardboard boxes with little time. This is perfect. This is great. Okay, unfriendly attitude. Our lemonade stand failed because of our unfriendly attitude. We greeted customers with grunts and scoffed when people asked questions. Whoa, I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, let's see. Poor location. Our lemonade stand failed due to a poor location choice. We placed the stand close to a grocery store that sells lemonade. Oh yeah, that would be a bad idea. These are great. Intimidating competition. Our lemonade stand failed because of the intimidating competition that was nearby. Customers were drawn to the other, more established stand, which had a broader selection of products. Awesome. Okay, another one here. Local regulations. Our lemonade stand failed because of local regulations. The town prohibited food vendors from selling on the street without a permit. Good one, right? If we forget that, we'll be in big trouble. Okay, bad reputation. The lemonade stand quickly gained a bad reputation due to the lack of quality ingredients, inconsistent taste, and the impolite service. Back to the unfriendly attitude, huh? Inadequate ingredients. Our lemonade stand failed because we didn't use enough lemons for the juice, and the sugar and water ratios weren't correct either. As a result, the lemonade was too tart, too sweet, not refreshing. Good stories, right? Let's see, second last one here. Our lemonade stand failed because of poor weather. One day was particularly cold, windy, and rainy. As the weather worsened, fewer and fewer customers stopped by the stand. We eventually had to close down. It was too hard to stay open due to the rain and the cold. Customers don't usually buy lemonade in such weather, and as a result, our stand suffered an eventual loss. Last one, low prices. We set our lemonade stand price too low, and nobody was willing to pay what we were asking. Even though the lemonade was good and well advertised, no one was willing to buy at our low prices. This led to a lack of revenue and ultimate failure of the lemonade stand. What does that mean? Customers were unwilling to pay our low price. This might fall into the category of whoopsie. But sometimes having wacky ideas way out to one edge of reality can cause the team to come up with ideas that are more diverse, more creative as a result. So even having a wacky idea like that last one is actually helpful for a creative kind of activity. This seems to me to be a great use case for these GPT models without any fine-tuning. In this case, we're looking for creativity, factual accuracy is not required, and wacky ideas are actually helpful in terms of stimulating creativity for the team doing the exercise.